Good afternoon. Today's date is August 28th and it is 4 p.m. We are hosting a meeting that is both hybrid and in person today. I'd like to call this meeting to order as the vice chair and join me and rise for a salute of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Vice Chair Brown.
Here.
Director Branning.
Here.
Director Josie.
Present.
And Chair Hubbard.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Terrific. All right, meeting open to the public. This is a chance for members of the public to address their subcommittee on matters listed on our agenda. Do we have any speaker cards today?
So I didn't get any speaker cards from the public. However, we did receive something through email, and I'll just do a quick summary of it. LAVTA received public comment on August 19th from Shuram Naidu.
And Jennifer, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think that's related to an agenda item for the school service.
So these are meeting open to the public on things within our responsibility, but not listed on the agenda.
Yeah, this is, we have an agenda item that,
Okay.
that corresponds with that comment. So I think that would be the appropriate time to do that.
It was me, I wasn't clear. Okay, great, thank you very much. So anybody else from the public? Seeing none, and then no other public comments. So we're going to move on to agenda item 4. That is the June 26th meeting of the Projects and Services Committee. Do you have comments, questions, or a request for approval? I move approval, Josie.
Second.
All right, you have a motion made and seconded. Can we take a roll call vote because we're not all in the room?
Yes, Director Branning.
Aye.
Director Josie.
Aye.
Chair Hubbard.
Aye.
Vice Chair Brown.
Okay, aye.
Motion passes.
All right, the next item is a staff report for Go Tri-Valley contract amendments. Staff?
Yeah, so I do have a slide deck here. I apologize in advance. I got sick last week. I just being around all those Dublin High students, but so I'm kind of still recuperating. So I'm congested and I might be coughing. So
Oh,
anyways.
you guys want to slide around?
Right,
Could have put you over there.
Right. Yeah, so thank you, Mike Tobin, Director of Operations. I'll be providing an update on the Go Tri-Valley contract amendments. And if we can get the slides up. But just to jump in here, so Go Tri-Valley is a program where LAVTA subsidizes trips taken on Uber or Lyft within the Tri-Valley service area. And so this program was implemented, I want to say, when was it?
I think we launched in 2017, very early 2017.
2017, at which time it was just Go Dublin. But essentially this program pays for trips 50% or half of the trip up to $5. So it is a great program. It was initially just Go Dublin, but since its inception, it's been expanded to the rest of the Tri-Valley service area. Next slide, please. And so really the goal and objective of this program is to provide a supplemental mobility option for areas where there's really limited fixed route service or no service at all. Also as a first mile, last mile connection to our local service. So really, again, to supplement our existing fixed route service. So this program, it's been in place for a while, but as of the beginning of this year, it was not widely known. So staff took it upon ourselves to conduct a marketing campaign, and it was a little too successful, if I must say so. Next slide, please. And you'll see this graph. It is a little shocking. So we had the marketing campaign in February. As you can see in March, ridership on Go Tri-Valley more than doubled in March. And it's increased month over month by an average of 8%. So it continues to increase month over month. So as a result of this, we are anticipating that we will reach our not to exceed amounts on both contracts with Uber and Lyft by the end of this month, actually in September. So we are coming back to the PNS committee and then subsequently the board to authorize an increase in those not to exceed amounts. And those amounts are in the staff report. I believe for Uber it is 400,000, and then for Lyft it is 270,000. So just so you know, are aware of how we came up with these numbers, we actually we erred on the side of extreme caution, and we assumed a current growth of 8% over month, just to give us some wiggle room, so we wouldn't have to come back to the board just in case. But I don't see us really, this growth doesn't seem to be sustainable, and I think it's gonna flatline over the next few months. That's just my guess, but so those are the amounts, and so the recommendation is staff requests of the Project and Services Committee recommend that the Board of Directors authorize the Executive Director to execute amendments to the Go Tri-Valley contract with Lyft Inc. and Uber Technologies Inc. to extend the contract terms and accommodate the increased ridership and subsequent annual program costs. More than happy to answer any questions.
If I could just add, I think this program is long overdue for an evaluation. When I first started this program in 2016, 2017, again, the intent was to replace the Route 3 service that we eliminated in West Dublin. For lots of different reasons, we made the whole city eligible in our Go Dublin program. But I think we're particularly wanting to understand, are we competing with ourselves for ridership? Are we cannibalizing our rapid riders who could be taking the bus? Are we providing a lot of late night trips home from the bar? Are we really providing service in areas where there is no fixed route service? So we would like to conduct an evaluation of this. I put a note for our upcoming budget discussions to program some funding for a consultant to come in and help us. We do have a lot of data coming from our partners. So we have origins and destinations for both Uber and Lyft. I think we have that by time of day, so we can see who our super users are. There's one person that uses this 85 times in 1 month. So, I mean, so there's some, I think it's worth a look under the hood to see how it's being used. And then I think there are some ways we can trim it back if the board desires. We could have a trip cap, so you can use this X number of times per month. We could decide to restrict where this is offered. We are also doing our Wheels in Motion service planning exercise kicking off here next week. And so that very well may bring additional fixed route service to Dublin. So I just wanted to provide you with some of those thoughts.
So this essentially will extend the term of the agreement through October next year, but again, at some point, we do need to do an in-depth analysis. We have gobs of data, but I just don't think we have the bandwidth at this point to really start making sense of it, so yeah.
Okay, questions? Yeah.
So one, I completely agree. We need to look at this closer. I do have a lot of the concerns you brought up about this program. I do think overall, it seems like it's a good idea generally. My big concern with this item specifically is like, this isn't a like small adjustment amount of money. This is trade-off money. And I want to know, what are we trading off for this adjustment?
So if I can jump in, we can absorb this with our existing fiscal 24 budget, because we did budget for the full 100% restoration of fixed route service. And based on our operator count, it is unlikely we will get above 90%. So we will be absorbing this additional cost in our fixed route budget.
Okay,
Is that correct?
Sorry,
Sorry.
I told I need to come to the podium. That is the hope. However, we have some other things that came up this year, cyber attack, that we were trying to absorb in the same line item. So the hope is that we'll be able to absorb it all within there. We think we'll be able to, but we don't necessarily know what other surprises may be out there waiting for us this year.
Okay, so then this wouldn't be a sustainable funding rate if we do get back up to 100%.
Correct.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that was my question as well. When we get asked to recommend these things, I'd love to see at the time of the ask, where are we getting those funds from? And I have the same concern. This is definitely not a sustainable thing going forward. Right now, because we are not at 100% of where we want to be with our fixed route, this is, as you said, it's trade-off money. The trade-off is we're supplementing where we're not meeting our existing or our 100% level of service. It was initially the trade-off for removing the fixed route, but to me, it's definitely not the way forward permanently. Great, we marketed it, we need to deliver it. So I like the fact that we are, delivering what we said we could deliver. I don't like the fact that we're not delivering what we said we could deliver on the fixed route services, that we're not at 100% there, but, I really like the idea that we delve into the data and that we do budget for really knowing, who is using it, how often they're using it, when they're using it, so time of day, are they going when we already have bus service at that for their trip, and why are they using it? So a survey too of the people, if there's a way we can reach them to give a survey of why are you using this instead of this route service, it may just be because it's more convenient, because it's easier for them. And so, you know, once we get a handle on all of that, we can figure out where this fits in with our overall plan. But yeah, I don't want to be relying on this particularly if we're competing with ourselves. If it's filling a need that we don't already have, great. But if it's just because people would rather than get on a bus, then that's not a good use of our money.
Can I add one other thing to look at on the list of things to look at, which is concern that people are just using this as a supplement to either driving or Ubering that they would
They already
normally
do,
do.
yeah.
Right.
So it's not taking a car
Yeah.
off of the road anywhere in the process.
When we were evaluating this right before I left the agency, we were working with our partners to get a survey out, and I recall it was challenging at that time. That was 5 years ago, but I think that survey data is quite important, and I agree with all the points that you just raised.
I would also like to bring up the fact, I think when the program initially started, it was only for shared rides, which it's no longer the case. I think LIFT has gotten rid of shared rides altogether, and so it is just people using it for a single ride, which in essence, it's not taking any vehicles off their cars.
If they're going to a fixed route service or
Well,
to
right.
bar or something, then that's great.
Yeah, we got it. I really know how to run this meeting, I promise. Okay, all right, Chair Halbert.
Yes, thank you very much. You know, I was a big fan of this project from the beginning, mostly because it was to service routes that we were otherwise going to eliminate. And so the idea perhaps of focusing it along routes that we don't service with a fixed route, and where we have no service, where we have some people that have the need, but we don't provide the service, I continue to support, as I agree with everyone that said, if this is just to supplement what they already are going to do and subsidize them, or to give them an alternative just because they don't want to ride a bus, that's not a good reason. I would like to understand the data, who's using it 85 times in a month, that kind of thing. But one thing I want to make clear as well, this is not meant to reduce routes where we have a perfectly capable bus and driver that we employ to do a job. That needs to remain intact. We have to protect the jobs that we have. And so I want to make sure that as we move forward, whatever we do, that we're making very clear we're not replacing bus drivers with Uber rides, but rather only supplementing where we can't provide a service that is needed. My opinion only, but that's where my head was in the beginning. And I think where my head still is right now. Fair enough. That's my comments. Thank you.
Great comments. Okay, thank you. I also have a few. I was here when we originally approved this program, and it was to cover the area that the fixed route could not. There were some areas of Dublin that was difficult to turn around, and it was scattered and more remote. And so it was meant to pick that up, and that's why it was called Go Dublin. Somehow it's become all about Dublin, yet it's called Go Tri-Valley.
It's throughout the Tri-Valley now.
It's
So
throughout the
It was
Tri-Valley.
expanded in 2020 as a result of the pandemic, because of the reduction in fixed route service. It was
Okay, so once we stopped with COVID and we started doing fixed route again, somehow we never shrunk this back.
correct.
Okay, so that's one. This is a question. Do we have grants to get vehicles off the road kind of to Commissioner Brandon's comments about, is this being funded by a specific grant that's meant to get cars off the road?
Currently, we are not receiving any grant funding. Tomorrow, would you join me at the podium and speak to previous grants that we have received for this?
During COVID grant?
Way back in the beginning.
Yeah.
We were given some funding to develop the program through Alameda County Transportation Commission, ACTC. That lasted 1 year, maybe 2 years. There was another grant right at the start of COVID, but I don't remember what the specifications were. And Michael Tree and their director of operations at the time did not feel that we could meet their requirements, so they did not follow through with it. That's all the funding outside of our general fund that we've received for this program today.
Okay, and this might apply to you. We also had a discussion when we agreed with this program. It was a discussion with our union drivers that it was not going to take rides away from you. It was not going to take routes, and that this was just an occasional use for a small area, and it was shared rides. Thanks for the reminder on that. Shared rides were at the time much less expensive than dedicated rides. Somehow we crept. It feels like we have this creeping program that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It started with a very isolated area, and then, like I said, it went from shared to single rides, and from Dublin to throughout the Tri-Valley. I'm going to share with much of what you heard that we really need to look at this. I'm sorry if you're getting too much data, and maybe we can have an outside contractor help
That's
with
what we're
this, because where are these riders coming from? If they're coming from everybody just because it's really easy and they only pay half the price, why isn't everybody riding it?
Yeah.
You know, I don't share, Michael, I don't share your confidence that that's going to flatten out, because if I look at the tip of that curve, there is no flattening, there's no plateau there. So if I would use it, if I needed a ride home, why not? And if there was no dedicated, oh, you're in a fixed route area, we serve you with a fixed route every 15 minutes, walk down to the end of Santa Rita, catch your bus. There's no discussion like that. So I think you're tip of the iceberg. I think you're gonna explode if you don't find out how we can control this. Those are just my opinions. Let's see, data unions. One last thing I'd like to know, are we covering, because we have an agreement here among the cities that there is shared resources based on population and money coming in. So are all the rides coming from Livermore, Pleasanton, Dublin? We need to make sure that that's too, because we're subsidizing this. So we need to make sure that we continue to have equal resources go to equal service, or at least proportional as it was at one time, agreed to at one time. So, okay, those are my comments. Yes,
Can I
please.
add in?
Certainly.
I know that what the recommendation is that these, this goes through October of next year. That is into the next fiscal year at that point. I would love to see us have this data when we're starting to budget.
Yes.
For next year, so that we know, I understand that that's, the contract year, but I would hope that we are having this discussion well before October of next year, when this, so that we may want to be making changes well before this expires, so that we decide that we have the data, we decide whether we even want to continue this into the next fiscal year, after this fiscal year, to see how we want to use it, how it fits in. Is it meeting our strategic priorities? Is it actually, in fact, taking ridership away? Do we want to go back to it being simply go Dublin? Do we want to put caps on it? Do we want to make it only shared services? Lyft still does shared rides, but Uber does not, is that correct?
It's one of them does not.
Yeah.
So maybe we go back to being only shared rides. I mean, however, whatever recommendations comes out of our data.
We could make it to and from a bus stop. I mean, that was something we thought about when we first were coming up with this program. If I
That's
could,
interesting.
that,
Interesting.
and we, there were reasons we landed where we landed. This, we know that this was bleeding edge, 6 or 7 years ago, but we have turned off the marketing campaign, just
But
that was the first, yeah, these were great, it was like a life hack campaign, great TikTok-y style videos that were in my Facebook feed, so we said, let's pull that back. I think you're absolutely right with the timeline. I don't want to wait until the end of the fiscal year to start. What I was planning on doing is reaching out to some of my colleagues in academia, UC Davis ITS or UC Berkeley ITS. This is a wonderful research project and they may have some resources. We also do have some wonderfully smart folks here and we can see what we can come up with. And I'll just to hit on the jobs and the bus service. We basically in Wheels Forward in 2016 identified our least productive routes, and Route 3 was on the list. And when we eliminated that route, we rolled those resources into creating 2 15-minute routes to run all day. So the jobs and the service hours were kept neutral. We didn't reduce any service, we just reallocated. So I am certainly not, you will not hear me advocate for replacing a bus route with this ever. So I just wanted to provide those comments.
But on the other hand, we don't want buses that are mostly empty.
It's a balance.
This is a significant number of riders, and
Yeah.
we're giving them up to half, which is up to $5. We're basically paying them not to
Get on the bus.
on the bus or to not get in a car. But if it's not to get on a bus, we have a real problem.
Yeah.
So we're paying them $5 or they pay $2.50 to rent the bus. Yeah, okay, I think you got some good feedback, is that right? Do you have any other questions that we can help you with?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, great, and so we are, they're recommending approval, but with all of these comments.
Mhm.
And you're also asking this be forwarded onto the board of directors. Does everybody feel comfortable with that? Because limited time, I totally agree with Commissioner Johnson about that. Okay, all right, so we need a motion for approval with these comments.
I'll move with comments.
Okay,
I'm happy to second that.
all right, we have motion made seconded. Can we take a oral or verbal vote, please?
Director Branning.
Aye.
Chair Hubbard. You're muted. Can you do it?
Aye. Sorry about that.
Vice Chair Brown.
Aye,
Motion passes.
thank you. Unanimous, yes.
And we didn't have any public comment on this.
Update for start of school service. We had a little exchange there. Not everybody is doing it smoothly throughout the country.
We're not Kentucky, thank
We're not
goodness.
Kentucky, yeah, for many good reasons. So, yes, could we have an update, please?
Sure, and you want to bring the slide back up? Yeah, so as you all know, we provide school service on behalf of all middle schools and high schools within the Tri-Valley area. For Dublin and Pleasanton, this mostly takes the form of what we call school trippers. So these are single dedicated trips in the AM and PM peak that we provide. And so this goes without saying, this is a huge lift for our agency. Students, they do account for about half of our ridership. And, as Director Josie can attest, it is quite an operational challenge. So, yeah, so I just threw a picture in there, but we did receive a public comment and I can get to that when we discuss the on-time performance issues. But so August 10th is when the Pleasanton and Dublin school districts began school. So in preparation for that, we met daily with our contractor staff to make sure we were planning for all challenges or issues that we could potentially see. There were a number of schedule changes. I won't go through each of them. They're all kind of iterated in the staff report. But the first week of school, we do have ambassadors out in the field. So we have folks from LAVTA and our contractor staff kind of strategically scattered throughout the service area at different schools. Christy, myself, Tamara, we were all at Dublin and we ran into Director Josie. And so we're really out there to just kind of herd students and sort of, address any behavioral issues that are happening, help answer their questions. You have a lot of new students who don't know what bus to take. So we had maps and we were kind of figuring out what bus they should take. So we did that for the first week, and that was pretty good. Minimal challenges, I would say. However, so the two things we really looked at the beginning of school, one is on-time performance issues. So of course, with the beginning of school, you're gonna have on-time performance issues. If you just take Dublin, for example, Village Parkway is just heavily congested, especially in the PM. That's a result of just, all the parents coming in, they want to drop their kids off the first couple weeks of school. So it is, and the school staff are kind of getting used to the traffic flow and the issues and challenges with that. So we did run into some on-time performance issues, and do we want to address the public comment now?
No, I say just get through this.
Just get through it, okay. So on-time performance will be a challenge, but usually what we see is it's a challenge for the first 4 to 6 weeks. Then maybe in the middle of September, it tends to die down a bit and we get back to normal. The other challenge we really keep an eye out on are passenger loads. So as you can see from this picture, we get very tight buses. I mean, we're talking upwards of 60, 70, 80 students on a single bus. And so you're talking about safety issues, them, they're in front of the yellow line, which they're not supposed to be. And so that can be a challenge in and of itself. So the way we monitor that, we actually have the operators doing manual counts of passengers, and then we report out the next morning and discuss, is there a way we can maybe add another trip onto that route? If we have the resources, et cetera. So that's another issue that we currently are facing is passenger overloads. So I just highlighted some of the challenges we're facing right now, specifically with specific routes. So Route 501, which services Positano Hills and Dublin High, we are potentially looking at adding an additional trip down the line because we are seeing some very high passenger loads on those buses. Unsafe, yes. Route 502, we actually are looking at implementing a schedule change. We are noticing that it's getting to Dublin High approximately 18 minutes late on average. So we do call the school ahead of time, notifying them that students will be late, but we notice it is a chronic issue and it's not going to necessarily get better with time. So we're actually looking at rolling out an emergency service change to make the time earlier by about 18 minutes. So, and then Route 604, this was a surprise to us. This one goes to Foothill High from, I forget which neighborhood. Muirwood or Fairlands, okay. And we saw extremely high passenger loads on this one. It was for some inexplicable reason. So, I think they were turning down students and we would figure out how to get them to school, but it was getting to the point where we just didn't have enough buses out on this route. So we put our heads together and we actually found a different bus that does another route that could actually then service this route as an additional trip. And it would start in the middle of the trip. And so we would essentially be splitting the route between 2 buses. And that seems to have worked. It's something that we were just able to figure out. We did seat drops, we informed parents, and it seems now the load on the second bus is reasonable and the earlier bus is working. So again, just some examples of the kind of challenges we're facing with the start of school. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up this issue, which is, you talk to our frontline operators who do the school trippers, especially at Dublin High, and this is one of the biggest challenges for them, and those are the trees. So if you go along Village Parkway, you go to the next slide. There are these gigantic trees there, and right there is where we have about 5 of our buses line up. And if you've seen our bus, which you have our mirrors on the curbside, they do stick out. So we have had a lot of mirror strikes at these
You can
trees.
see the reflective tape on the first tree, the orange tape,
Right.
so there's caution tape.
And they've actually cut off some of those limbs, as you can see, and you can see they're right on the curb. So what happens is our operators, if they get in an accident, it could be as minor as a mirror strike, but it's considered a preventable accident and they get written up. So they end up getting anxiety. They don't want to get close to the tree. So what they do, one of 2 things, they either park a few feet away from the curb, so they're sticking out in the lane. This causes, safety. It could increase chances of another vehicle hitting the street side corner of that bus. And then it also worsens the traffic on Village Parkway, which of course we don't want to add to the ongoing congestion issues. But that's what happens. The other thing they do is they will actually pull all the way, one bus will pull all the way to the front, and then they'll actually just not pull up near these trees at all. And it just creates a huge gap. And then parents end up pulling in there when they're not supposed to. And
kids don't know where they're going.
yeah, and it adds to the chaos. And so we noticed that not a lot of students actually sit under these trees. They're really in under the building. So we've actually reached out to Public Works at the City of Dublin and have asked them if we could just completely remove these trees.
And what was your response? What was
Yeah.
your response?
We'll get back.
We don't know yet.
Is this a recent picture?
Yes.
I
They all
believe
just
so.
sort of jump out of order. Those trees are barely leafed out.
Right,
So they don't look like healthy trees to start with. I'm not saying that all trees are,
That's a good point.
should be cut down, but those do look like, they're in stress.
yeah, there's not a lot of foliage, so they don't really provide any shade if at all. And so on the other side is where all of our 501 buses
Way down.
pull up, yeah, way down there, and there's no trees at all, and it does help. And so just from an operator's perspective, it would go a long way in making this a much more safe and, operationally effective area. So again, I just wanted to throw this out there because we have reached out to the city. We met with MCE, who is their kind of maintenance company, and so this is going up the food chain, and hopefully we'll get a decision pretty soon. But
Just a few more notes, just thank you, that was
course.
super comprehensive as usual. Our Tri-Transit Schools promotion is
Oh, yeah.
live, and just to mention that, it went live, I think, August 7th and wraps September 4th. And all junior and high school kiddos get to ride free. And we are meeting with Dublin High School administrative staff tomorrow, just to check in on the things we just, Mike just presented, to talk about ideas for wayfinding, maybe put a map up for the kids. But also to keep those lines of communication strong, so that, they know who to talk to if they have issues, and we know who to talk to when we have issues.
All right, looking for questions, comments? Yes, sir.
This one, I really appreciate the Tri-Transit. It has worked out great in my student population, at least, for kiddos who do usually have a pass or something like that, and they can't find it, or they need to apply for a new one this school year, or, whatever variety of issues they have. And it's like, well, for the next couple of weeks, you can just ride for free and we'll get you sorted out in the first couple of weeks of school. So it's worked really well for kids who are frequent riders. Most of them have a pass of some form or another, but they struggle with keeping them over summer, finding them again, that sort of thing.
We've been talking about, do they have ACTC passes, Alameda County Transportation Commission? Okay, you qualify.
Yeah, so there, some qualifying reasons to get it. Pretty nice.
Terrific. I think it's a well-kept secret. I just
Yeah.
gave the word out.
Yeah.
Yes, Chair Halbert, any questions?
So just a comment, if we get rid of the trees, and it seems like that might be the safest and most prudent thing to do, I'm wondering if the students would like to have, when it's raining, it seems like they have no place to wait. Maybe they all have umbrellas, but maybe there should be a bus stop that's covered, that maybe we could work with the school district, put it on what is currently the lawn and grass area. Just a thought. If not, I also am a big fan of replacing trees. If we cut 3 down, we can maybe replace it with one that's located on the grass area that can maybe be a nice, majestic looking tree. I'm sure Councilmember Josie is laughing right now because she's heard me say this before. But if we replace 3 with a new one, maybe that could be a good trade-off. Just a thought.
Good thoughts. Certainly.
Village Parkway has a plan, so I wouldn't get too excited about bus stops and trees on that stretch quite yet. Kind of lost yes, the transition from the free period to the non-free period. Are we rolling out messaging on all of our buses in the next week to let the kids know, starting on
Tuesday.
starting on Tuesday, you need to start paying for the buses,
We'll
because
do
there's
that.
gonna be a whole lot of kiddos that, particularly the freshmen, that are like, wait a minute, what do you mean the buses are free every day? They will not understand that this is not the norm. So having that message rolling out
We'll
every
have a
day.
grace period.
Yes,
as
of
we
course we
always
will,
do.
of course we will, but letting them know
Yes.
every day so that
Yeah.
bus drivers aren't having to deal with, 80 kids
Yes.
every route that don't understand that the bus isn't free every.
And we
single
can send out an SMS alert to whoever, so we'll definitely do a copy.
But it might be good maybe even on Friday if we went out there, or you won't be here, but yeah.
But I'm thinking every day this week after
Okay.
today,
Okay,
reiterating that message, I know we can do the recorded loops now.
yeah.
So reminding the kids, starting Tuesday, bus isn't free anymore. Something along those lines would be good.
Good
We
comment.
like a lot of reminders.
Yes, they need a lot of reminders.
And what did you call them, seat drops? So you put
Yeah.
something on the seat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe the school can send out a notice to parents, actually, that might be an effective way. We worked with Foothill High, Principal Bull to get a note out to move the 604 bus earlier. And actually, some feedback I'd like from you particularly is, so staff is recommending moving the 502 morning bus to start like 18 minutes earlier. And they're recommending starting it on Tuesday after Labor Day.
Mhm.
I just think that's not enough time to notify the kiddos, but I'm looking for some professional advice here. Should we, and we can go bonanza with a marketing campaign, and we can, send out a notice, put a notice at the, at the bus stop, hand out flyers on Friday and Thursday. But I just know kiddos, 18 minutes is a big change,
18 minutes is
so,
a big change, and if you don't have that flyer ready to go,
which we do not right this second.
yeah.
We could get it tomorrow, but,
I mean, I think you would want to be seat dropping every day for 3 or 4 days.
okay,
Um,
okay. So maybe we will push it to the 11th, to September 11th, because that gives us a Monday, it's a fresh week.
if you have it ready to go by tomorrow morning, then I'd say go for it. That gives you Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah,
Friday. I
mhm,
mean, that gives you a full week
Okay.
before the change. I think that's plenty of time, and the schools can absolutely get that message out as well.
Okay.
It's very easy for us to send a
Yeah.
message to every
Yeah,
family.
okay,
We don't certainly know who's riding the bus, but it's easy for us to
Yeah.
send to the entire community. You can send it more than once,
okay,
if you need
okay, okay, well,
to, including Monday night.
okay,
It's easy to schedule.
Oh, yeah,
message to go
okay,
out
yeah,
Monday night.
okay.
Remember, the bus is leaving early
okay,
tomorrow.
okay. All right, so we'll huddle in the morning first thing, come up with a plan.
Because I hate for kids to be late to school for a whole nother week.
Yes.
That's a good feedback. Questions? You mentioned ambassadors. What are you doing? Are you the ambassadors? Okay, what? Maybe there could be some students, ambassadors. Is there a program for Wheels LAVTA during school orientation?
Not currently, but I am putting that on our new director of customer experiences plate to
Okay.
restart our outreach program, particularly with the schools, because I think we have a wonderful opportunity to be more present with schools, bring a bus out, show the kids how to load a bike on the bus, take away some of the mystery.
Definitely do that, but there are usually school rallies where everybody comes together, talk about ACTC free rides, talk about the bus system and how it was free this year, but no guarantee next year, but let's ride the bus. Let's ride the bus. I was even thinking there's so many schools, I don't know if it would make sense to have a video made or something. What I also would like to see is our app shows real time,
Mhm.
right? Kids would love that. 18 minutes, real time. Here's when the bus is coming.
Mhm.
So we could really get the message out that, because I think virtually every high schooler has some sort of smartphone or something in their possession. Bus arrival electronics, so using the supervisor's comment about a bus station, do we have any electronics, the bus is coming like we do on the other stops?
No, but that is an idea that I was just chatting with staff about, is
Okay.
doing some, we need to make sure our data is good. Because oftentimes buses get rearranged throughout the day, and you have to like dynamically say, okay, you're no longer the Route 10, you're gonna go run a 604. And so there's some back end work that has to happen to make
Sure.
those real-time signs sing, but absolutely, you could use, I would love to see a really nice display at Dublin High and
I
at
think
that
that would-
hill.
I would love to get you eyes off the ambassador job
Yeah.
and doing what your real job is, right? But I realize, I know Tamara's also done a lot of work doing this through the years as well. But then, sorry, executive director, you said something that made me uncomfortable. You said that the passengers are at the maximum and you used the word unsafe.
Yes, yeah.
So what is the maximum? on a
For regular, we do not like to see 1.5 times the seated load on our buses. So typically our 40-foot buses have about 40 seats. That means we don't like to see more than 60 humans on them. And that, when we see that consistently, that is when we have a safety issue. And that is why we are looking at, that's why we pivoted or added the 604 trip in the morning.
Right.
And that's why we're looking at the 501 in the afternoon.
But you said there's counters, and then you also said it went up as high as 70. So how is that 69 and 70th student getting on a bus that you're saying is only safe at 150% Ford,
They are cramming in every little nook.
but the driver's counting.
We're not telling the driver, well, I guess Regina or Tamara can jump in.
The other option is to leave the students standing there and they don't have a way to school. So they're literally cramming them on, because we don't have extra buses and we don't have extra drivers. So they are cramming them on, and honestly, we've had parents complain because their kid couldn't be, and we're 84 on the bus.
So it's a balance, it's, safety, but
There's
then
no
also.
accident.
No, we do not, when I heard
I wanna
83, I
leave it.
didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. I was like, how can you?
Call
fit-
Uber and Lyft, I'll take the last.
No, it's, I don't like to say the word safety issue because that's a serious word, but it is something that we're watching very closely because one accident and that's just,
Must be addressed.
yes,
And
absolutely.
it sounds like you are.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any public comments?
So we don't have any public comment in the audience today. There's 2 attendees, but nobody has their hand raised. But we did receive public comment via email on August 19th from Shiram Nadu, a Dublin High School student. It was regarding Route 502. And it was regarding the morning and afternoon arrival issues with requested action to improve timeliness, efficiency, increase bus capacity, and reduce average commute time. And it's posted online for review.
We're certainly trying to do all of those things, except for bus expansion. We can
Yeah.
try to expand the buses.
Yeah.
But we can add another. Okay.
Hey, I have a question. I thought that a few years ago, didn't we have a student that was very tech savvy and created their own app that used GPS and tracking software or readily available information so that they knew when the bus was around the corner and driving up, almost like, I don't know how they did it, but I thought that was done by a student that was very
Like one
tech.
of those little trackers on the bus.
Well, no, our real-time feed is available.
Yeah.
You can get it from our MTC and it's, these kiddos are smarter than me. But again, we just need to get our data reliable. 'Cause right now there's some hiccups in it and, but yes, absolutely. I remember that smart.
When is our data gonna be reliable? I didn't mean to breathe in, I mean, breathe out.
Well, we have our, our IT modernization project that we will be working on and, briefing the board on at a closed session.
Yeah, I think our senior fleet and technology management specialist is just, he's very thin. And so I think with this new project, that'll offload some of his work and he'll be able to focus more on sort of these ITS related issues with our GTFS fleet. So that's the goal. And we'll do an in-depth analysis of sort of the data quality and what's coming across and how we can improve it, so.
We had money for the Uber Lyft, so since we're only doing 6 months or so, we'll have a little bit of money left over. All right, thank you for the public comment. Anything else? We're gonna close the public comment period, bring it back to our group. We were supposed to receive and file an update from staff, so that has been done. Okay, thank you. All right, we're looking at previewing upcoming projects and services items. Anything updated?
Lots going on. And so in September, we are going to give you an update on our Wheels in Motion. So this is our big service planning effort. We are working so hard behind the scenes to get all the infographics ready, to get the webpage ready, to get our survey ready, scheduling farmers markets. And so we'll be excited to unveil to you all of our good work. And before the meeting, we'll certainly share with you all of our outreach events. We're going to all the farmers markets where we'll have a booth and be engaging with residents and bus riders. And you will receive your fixed route customer satisfaction survey results at your September meeting. I'm also doing an info item to the board in September on the Alameda County Student Pass program. So just to give you an update of how, how it works, how it's being used. So that's going straight to the board in September. And then in October, we are working to get you a shared autonomous vehicle project update. That is still chugging along, but we're at some decision points here. So we'll be bringing that to you. And also potentially an action item to talk about, are we ready to purchase our hydrogen fuel cell buses per our plan? Or do you want to defer the plan and purchase hybrid buses? So we'll have a conversation about your fleet composition and your zero emissions bus planning in October. And November, December, right now look pretty light. I think we typically cancel December because it's probably right in the Christmas break. So that's what's on the agenda for now.
Okay, yeah, because projects and services is so late in the month,
Yeah.
but we still have a board meeting probably.
In December, oh yes, absolutely. Now in January, it could be just delayed. We haven't, we'll approve our calendar at your November meeting. But I think Christmas is on a Tuesday Monday or Tuesday this
I
year.
do know Thanksgiving's on a Thursday. So that last week is it's also difficult.
Yeah,
to get in.
Yeah, so we may just try to load up your September, your October, and your January.
Yeah, maybe a little shift in dates if possible. Okay, thank you. And I would just make a request that I have voiced to you before. If we're gonna do something on ACTC about ACTC free rides.
Yes.
Just make sure it gets in the press, please.
Yes,
So
with a
there's
picture.
something, notification with the photo, just so it catches so much more eye.
Yeah.
Than it does without that. Any questions? All right, matters initiated by committee members. I think we initiated a few things already.
We got good feedback today.
Anything else? All right, I'm looking forward to the rest forward. Chair Halbert, anything to initiate for this group?
Nope, good meeting so far. Thank you. A lot going on.
Yeah, our next meeting is September 25th. This meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
For rodeo